everybody. When they let us out of the zoo, we watch Robozone.
Robozone is presented by First in Michigan, Michigan's premier provider of K-12 robotics programs. Kettering University, think differently, learn differently. Also brought to you by the Ford Steam Experience, inspiring the next generation of problem solvers. Blue Chip Talent, ridiculously good at advancing careers in IT and engineering. Stryker, discover your strengths and follow your passion with us. The Dow Chemical Company, the human element at work. Fanuc America, the leading supplier of robots, CNCs, and factory automation. Consumers Energy, encouraging your inner genius. Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser, your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. And the DTE Energy Foundation. I want to welcome you to another fast-moving edition of the nation's only First Robotics weekly TV show, State Champs Robozone. This program is presented by First in Michigan, the only sport where every participant can turn pro. I'm Lauren Plant, Kiera Hay, and the Robozone team are here for the second of back-to-back weeks at Kettering University in Flint. We'll have coverage of all the playoff action from this event, including the deciding championship match, broken down by two First in Michigan founders, Dan Kimura and Jim Zondag. That's later. First things first, if you're new to the game Power Up, Jim Zondag's got the 4-1-1.
Tell us about the game of Power Up. What's going on?
Our 2018 game is a 3-on-3 robot game. We play a match for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the first 15 seconds of which are autonomous. The other 15 are driven by high school students. There are 3 different sort of ways to score in this game. The first way that we're going to see a lot of is there are these yellow power cubes on the field. If you put the yellow power cubes on one of our 3 scoring structures and get that scoring structure to tip towards your color lights, you'll collect 1 point per second. And you can do that on the middle one, which we call the scale, or on your side one, which we call a switch. At the end of the game, there are 2 different ways to score points. There are platforms on the sides of the scale. If you're on top of the platform at the end of the game, you're going to get 5 extra points. If you're hanging on a bar above 12 inches above the platform, you're going to get 30 points. There's also a way to pass cubes to your human player, and if you pass the cubes to your human player, they can put them in a vault. So once teams have the cubes in their vault, they can then choose to play that power-up at the most advantageous time for them. The vault then is worth 5 points a cube you put in there, but also enables some power-ups. The first power-up that we can talk about is Levitate. If you get 3 cubes in the Levitate power-up and hit the button, you're going to get a free hanging robot for 30 points. If you get cubes in either a boost or a force power-up, they'll get worth a little bit more the more cubes you put in, but the force power-up essentially will take control of some of our scoring structures for your alliance, giving you that 1 point per second for them. The boost power-up will double the value of all of the scoring structures you already control. So instead of 1 point per second, you'll get 2.
Now you know the game. Let's get to the Week 2 highlights from around the state. This is the Robozone Roundup. We saw 40 teams compete this weekend at St. Joe, our first event from the west side this year. No one was too surprised to see 2767 Strike Force from Kalamazoo end qualifications in the #1 spot. With a fast, omnidirectional swerve drive, a tall elevator, and a solid partner climbing device, Strike Force took the top spot by a large margin. The reigning world champion selected 3452 Greengineers from Berrien Springs and 6615 Bell Voxel Bots from Belleville. Their eliminations path saw them run into strong teams such as 2337 Engineers, but they swept the quarters and the semis to play for the event title. There, they faced the #2 alliance of Captain 2474 Excel from Niles, Home Team 3620, the Average Joes from St. Joseph, 5927 I Academy Globetrotters from Zeeland. Strikeforce showed why they are the reigning world champion, with the #1 alliance winning both finals matches handily on their way to yet another Michigan District win. On to Centerline. This was the 6-year Centerline High has hosted a First Robotics competition. The district started off with a bang when Team 1025 showed off a triple robot climb in Match 1. Alas, this was the only time a team was able to claim this bonus the whole event, but what a great start. In the end, no other alliance could compete with the double-scale assaults from the 2 top groups, and the #1 Captains Alliance ended up facing off against the Gearheads in the finals. It was a battle for the scale in both rounds with lots of high scoring by both teams. But in the end, the captains prevailed with a 355 to 277 decision for the win in finals number 2. First district win for 3098 since 2015. The Waterford District featured our biggest upset of the week as the finals saw the number 1 Alliance up against the number 6 Alliance. 56-74, the Gearhounds seeded first and selected 51-55 the Bearcats and 52-29 Heritage Hawkbots. The number 6 Alliance was captained by 59-07 the CC Shambots from Novi, and they selected 37-70 Blitzkrieg for Midland and 61-17 Wingspan from Pontiac. Wingspan was the sleeper pick of this event, and with fast scale scoring and a solid 30-point climb, the number 6 Alliance had 3 great offensive robots compared to only 2 in all the other groups. This advantage allowed them to systematically defeat higher-seeded number 3 Alliance and then the number 2 Alliance on their way to the finals to face the numero unos. While the number 1 Alliance was able to come out of autonomous mode with a 2-cube advantage on the scale, the number 6 Alliance was able to push back. All 3 robots scoring on the scale at times to control the match just enough to take the finals 381 to 274. Teamwork and good scouting were the keys to victory at Waterford.
Our lift was top of the line. It's what got us here. It's what made us dominate the scale and the vaults. And then, I mean, our drive team, our bumpers, everything was working great today. And it was our scouting team. Scouting team got us the perfect alliances, the way we could have the perfect alliance to dominate the field. And it was pretty awesome.
Hey guys, I'm Kiera Hay, and we're just a few minutes away from full playoff highlights from Week 2 of Power Up here at Kettering University. It's time now for First Facts. The positive impact of FIRST robotic competition participants is gratifying and well documented. Over 88% have more interest in doing well in school, and 92% are more interested in attending college. More Robozone coming up next.
DTE Energy is committed to giving back. So DTE employees volunteer thousands of hours working in over 450 communities with more than 280 charities across Michigan. Why? Because we don't just deliver energy. We want to empower people in the communities where we live and serve. DTE Energy. Know your own power.
Kettering University is a jewel among American higher education. We have some of the finest engineering and science and business programs in the country. All of our students spend half of their time in the classroom and also half of their time in the professional practice of their discipline. Connecting those two things is a powerful way to learn a discipline. We're famous for our contributions to the automotive industry, but we do so much more. We have some cutting-edge facilities in biomedicine and biomedical research, in applied physics and acoustics, some of the most amazing chemical engineering laboratories in the Midwest. All of these facilities are accessed and accessible by undergraduates. Virtually all of our students are employed upon graduation, usually 99 to 100% of our students. There's no other institution that prepares students quite as well as we do.
Welcome back to Robozone. Playoff time here at Kettering 2. Week 1 here saw the 5th seed sweep their way to the championship. Let's find out which alliances played their way into this week's finale. It's been a decade now that Kettering University has hosted a first district. They love it so much, they do it twice. Here's how the playoffs started at the 2018 Kettering 2 district. The top-ranked alliance swept their way through, featuring the Westside veteran from Allendale, Trisonics, teaming up with Goodrich's Martians and a rookie team, Next Tech Hydra from Okemos. We had an upset in quarterfinal 2 as the 5th seed took down the 4th seed, went to 3 games, but the Blue Alliance, captained by the Perry Rambots, along with Davison's House of Cards and Bloomfield Hills Las Gorillas, forging the upset. The 2nd seeded group, featuring the Sterling Heights Thunder Chickens, allied with the Brighton Techno Dogs and Bay City Legends, made quick work of the 7th seeds. The 6th seeds, however, on this day proved they were not done. They overcame a comeback from the 3rd seeds to lose match 1. Penalties and tipped robots in match 2 and 3 allowed Hemlock's Gray Matter, the Chimeras from the Pier, and Flint neighbor Swartz Creek Dragons to seize a spot in the semis. Of course, the mentors playing a huge role.
Happy to be here. Right now I've got 4 freshmen on my team out of 5 members, so we're pumped. We're glad to be here for the first time being involved in FIRST. The stuff you tell them, it becomes real. Okay, watch out for this, watch out for that. Don't make the simple mistakes. Now here you are. Now you got to learn it. Now you comprehend it a little bit better, and they say, oh, that's why the mentors are giving us a hard time about things. You know, they're nervous, they're confident. Hey, you know, we just take it one match at a time, right? So that's how we get here.
Yeah, it was so exciting. We had a lot of D played on us. We really had to switch sides. It was hard to work the scale on the other side, but we just stayed after it, and our alliance worked really well together, and that was the key. We consider Kettering our home. We actually have 11 of our students that are now students at Kettering, so we consider this our home event. It's great. Yeah, we want to go all the way this weekend.
In semifinal 1, it was the 1st versus the 5th seeds, and the battle for the center scale lasted a total of 40 seconds. But the 1st seed successfully defended control before all of the teams diverted their attention back to the switches. Despite a double climb from the 5th seed, the number 1s took a decisive initial victory. In match 2, and despite coming up short in autonomous, the 5th seed positioned themselves for victory by focusing their assault on the switches and trapping the 1st seed bots in the opposing zone during the endgame. But their penalties ended up being the deciding factor, giving the 1st seed a ticket to the finals. Semifinal 2 featured the 2nd versus 6th seeds. The Thunder Chickens' precise cube placement absolutely dominated ownership of the scale for the 2nd seed, while the Legends and Techno Dogs matched the 6th seed point for point in every other category, giving them the win. In match 2, the 6th seed fought back with a vengeance, keeping it close until the very end, but the climbing mechanisms of the Chimeras and Gray Matter got tangled up during the endgame. Though they persisted, their bots crashed to the floor with 5 seconds left, sending the 2nd seed to the big dance. Finals coming up shortly.
Before we go to break, let's take a look at this week's First in Michigan trivia question. Name the 2 universities and the 2 high schools that have hosted a First in Michigan district 10 consecutive years. The answer when Robozone returns. Are you stuck in your job? Getting frustrated playing the waiting game for the next opportunity to advance your career? Let Blue Chip Talent help. As an award-winning talent acquisition company, our specialty is matching candidates with careers in IT and engineering. At Blue Chip Talent, we take a laser-focused approach to reaching your career goals. We have access to jobs you won't find anywhere else to help advance your career faster and easier. Plus, we take care of you. Employees receive industry-leading benefits and competitive perks. Don't waste another minute worrying, because we are ridiculously good at advancing careers.
There's some girls here today that never would have thought they would have wanted to be a scientist or a mathematician or an engineer. I'm hoping there's girls now who think they might. That's what we're trying to do, is change those minds.
Back again. You know me. Pepperoni Asiago. Oh, he's so cute. What's his name? Pepperoni Asiago. I just want to eat him up.
Flavor fanatics love us because we make our dough fresh daily and only use 100% real mozzarella. Now get meal deals for any budget.
Hungry?
Howie! Flavor fanatics welcome.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Welcome back to Robozone. Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. We asked you to name 2 universities and 2 high schools that have hosted a First in Michigan district 10 consecutive years. The 2 high schools was Traverse City Central High School and Troy Athens High School. The 2 universities were Grand Valley State and Kettering. Kettering University and First in Michigan have had a long and amazing partnership throughout the years. In fact, Kettering University was the first school to offer a scholarship to kids who participated in FIRST Robotics. Let's find out more about Kettering University's history right now.
Our commitment to FIRST Robotics and to the FIRST program here at Kettering is really unique in the country. We opened several years ago a FIRST Community Center, which is a dedicated space inside of the university, dedicated to FIRST Robotics and to local high school teams.
Well, after being in robotics for 4 years, I really felt like Kettering was a place that I belonged. Felt like this is where, a student from FIRST could really thrive and do well.
A lot of people involved in robotics, including myself, are pretty nerdy people, and so having an atmosphere created where it's all nerdy people that get to hang out and talk about engineering things together, things that I was always interested in, was really cool for me.
Kettering was one of the first universities in the country to offer scholarships to students, specifically with FIRST in their background.
In 1999, when we first started, we offered 2 scholarships. This past year, we awarded 50 scholarships.
Through the FIRST Robotics Scholarship, I was able to come through school debt-free so far.
FIRST is like a collegiate sport where there's no professional league. You finish in high school and it stops, but it doesn't stop here. Our students that come to the university as undergraduates, they can mentor and work with other teams, they can teach other teams.
I decided to join Team 322 Flint Fire. Just like the same of my mentors investing into me, I wanted to invest in them.
If there is a home to FIRST in the United States, it's Michigan, and if there's a home to FIRST in Michigan, it's Kettering University.
So welcome back to Kettering as we get into this district's finale. Now the interesting thing is you have 2 teams, 494, the Goodrich Martians. They've been around for 18 years. They're going up against another veteran-led alliance in 217, the Thunder Chickens, in their 20th year of existence. And kind of talking around here, they don't meet too often. I think it's been a long time since they've been adversaries for all the marbles. Let's check it out. Here we go. With former world champions on each side of the field, the match began with both switches being captured for their respective alliances and the first seed staking initial claim of the switch. A frenzied struggle for the scale ensued with a lot of drop cubes and sloppy placement on both sides. Ultimately, the first seed came out with control and a 20-point lead. The Thunder Chickens came down with technical issues a minute left in the match. The Martians capitalized on this and reversed both switches in their favor as the end game ensues. The first seed cruised to victory. Dan and Jim now with the play-by-play of Finals Match 2.
So one of the big things we want to look for in the auto mode that's about to start is 4003, the Allendale team, has been very successful getting to either side of the scale to put that cube up, giving them that early lead before the drivers even touch the controls. So we can see them here making a cross of the field.
And it's good up on the scale. And look at the Blue Alliance as well. We got 2 scores on the switch for the Blue Alliance in the autonomous mode as the drivers take control in a teleoperated period.
Yep, a switch and a scale for red, so they are pulling ahead here. As we see Allendale again going up high. That battle for the switch is just so important early in the match.
Yeah, but look at the Thunder Chickens and the Brighton team both taking control of the Blue Alliance side of the scale.
And this is interesting. You see 4003's robot there. They've been cycling their conveyor up and down, or their lift up and down, and it looks like they've given up on the scale, and they're going for the cubes to the vault. So I wonder if there's something wrong with that lift.
Yeah, maybe. The Martians, though, for red, continuing to just hammer cubes on that scale, trying to take possession back from the Blue Alliance, but the Blue Alliance 217 Thunder Chickens from Utica just keeping possession for blue all the way through the match so far. It's only a 5-point spread, but blue still winning at the midpoint.
And just like we saw in our matches last week, those scale plates are getting awfully full. It's getting very difficult to balance more up. A penalty there on 7144. They're a little bit too close to that white taped off area. We call it the null zone. You contact a robot inside that zone, that's going to be a penalty, and they've gotten hit a couple times with that already.
Martians now going to the portal, taking another cube, stacking it on for red, but still the scale in blue possession.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if that 4003 robot's lift is really messed up here. It looks like it's costing them because it's getting late in the match. Even if they flip the scale now, I don't know if it's going to be enough to come back, especially with those penalty points stacking up on that defensive red robot.
And here goes Thunder Chickens again for blue, putting one more on for blue, but with just a few seconds left, blue still in control.
That's another penalty on the Red Alliance. That's 494. When they put that cube on, they pulled down on the scale. You're not allowed to do that. Only the cubes can change the angle of our scale in the middle.
And Red played their boost power up, but it looks like it's not going to be enough as we enter the final 10 seconds here.
Yep, still only boosting the switch, right? They really wanted to get control of the scale back. They held that power up till the last second, but just never quite got control back.
Yeah, and there's our final score. It looks like blue with an upset on this one, 417 to 326 on the final score. That's the first upset we've seen in the finals for Power Up in the state of Michigan this year.
Yeah, but a little bit of a review from the refs since so many penalties were called, but ultimately I believe that score will hold up. So when we get the final tally here, it looks like a few of those penalty points weren't yet added. So our number 2 Blue Alliance is going to take the win, 477 to 326. Red, however, able to come back in finals match 3, winning that one 432 to 306.
Amazing, just completely ecstatic. We won. Takes a lot of communication, and we learned to respond to unexpected problems.
It's controlling that scale. That was the big part of the competition. They had a little bit slower on the Auton. We got the Auton. It feels good to win our home event. We practice the Kettering Center over there a lot, and it feels good to be here and win the competition.
Dan and Jim back with what we are now calling Power Up Perspectives. So one of the things I saw this week that I want to talk about is defense. We saw in that Finals 2 match at Kettering, we saw the Red Robot playing some risky defense close to that null zone and getting tagged for a lot of penalty points. So Jim, in your experience as a coach thus far, what ways have you found to play maybe some safer or more effective defense than that?
So what we've been trying to do is actually trying to, if we have a defense partner, that we're sending them further downfield past the null zone, coming around the back of the scale.
The other thing we saw is, of course, scale control. And it's going to be all about scale control all season long. We saw a couple new ways that teams were sort of reaching out, branching out to take control of that scale. One of them early in the game, the other late. So first, autonomous mode.
Autonomous mode, I think, is going to be the key to this game. There's going to be an arms race in autonomous mode this year. Week 1, we saw mostly switch autonomouses. It's kind of safe and easy, the same thing you're doing in qualifying. Already in week 2, we saw field crossing scale autonomouses traversing the field behind the switch. We saw even some double cube scale autonomouses trying to take control and seize control of the scale.
And in our Finals 2 match that we just watched, there are not many cubes left on the field. The switch is full, the scales are full, the vaults are getting full. And so I think it's a question of if you can score higher than everybody else, you might be able to take control late in the match and still be able to make a difference.
Yeah, totally agree. How many you can pack onto the scale and optimizing every single one of them to get that higher reaching robots, I think we'll see more of that in the future.
Okay, well, a couple things to think about. We'll see what happens next week.
It's time now for Power Up Props. And first up, Team 4003, the Trisonics. All right, next up we have
Team 217 Thunder Chickens.
Last but not least, we have the
3707 Techno Dogs.
Robozone will be right back.
We have only to look into each other's eyes to see the story of our planet. But if we move a little to the left and consider the notion of adding the human element to the periodic table of the elements, we see the world for the first time. We work the new chemistry, and in turn, we learn the secret to a better life, where chemistry embraces humanity.
FANUC America is the #1 supplier of robots, CNCs, and factory automation. Our certified automation training prepares students for high-tech careers and advanced manufacturing. Manufacturers use automation to maximize productivity. That's why high-paying careers in advanced automation are in demand today. Our CERT program provides manufacturers and educators a STEM-based curriculum centered on robotics and automation training. Contact FANUC to learn more about our certified automation training programs.
I love working for Stryker.
I'm genuinely excited to come to work every day.
We support each other and look out for each other.
I love Stryker because we are like a family.
At Stryker, I own my career.
There are so many different places Stryker can take me in the next 5 years.
Together, with our
customers,
we are driven
to make
healthcare better.
Great people with a strong mission and values can accomplish great things together.
Welcome back to Robozone. I'm Jim, this is Dan, and we're here for your Hungry Howie's Top 10. Dan, who do you got on your list this week?
Well, let's start right at number 1. I put them before they played last week, and they did well enough to retain that spot, so 27-67. Kalamazoo 4-H, my number 1 team this week. We also saw a couple other players, 34-52, Berrien Springs, and 4003 Allendale, both scoring, I believe, that power cube in autonomous on the scale. And we're just starting to see more of that. I know other teams are going to bring that out when they play next, but those two, I think, were the best at that this week, getting them my number 3 and 4 spots. I saw a lot of parity at the bottom, too. We're starting to see a lot of good teams this year, and we'll just have to wait to see how they shake out.
Okay, on my list, a lot of the same. So new members of my top 10 this week. In number 9 position, I had 3098, the Waterford Captains, winner at Centerline District. At number 4, I had 3452, the Green Engineers, number 1 pick at St. Joe's. At number 5, I had the Goodrich Martians, winner at Kettering. I had Trisonics at my number 2. 27-67 Strike Force, world champion 2017 in my number 1 position, just like you, Dan.
Till somebody beats them, and we'll see if somebody can do that. Well, not next week, but coming up soon.
All right, thanks again to Dan Kimura and Jim Zondek for their outstanding contributions to this show. Couldn't do it without you guys. Make sure you go to RobozoneTV.com to check out our top 25 rankings presented by Hungry Howie's. Of course, follow us on social media. Every week you'll see brand new content featuring Dan Kimura and Jim Zondek previewing the weekend ahead. Plus, we talked to several teams here today. We threw out some karma. We talked to Joel Hurd, the announcer. You can find that content on our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube page. Next week, full coverage from the Milford District. All right, on behalf of the entire team, I'm Lauren Plant. Robozone, out. Robozone is presented by First in Michigan, Michigan's premier provider of K-12 robotics programs. Kettering University, think differently, learn differently. Also brought to you by the Ford Steam Experience, inspiring the next generation of problem solvers. Blue Chip Talent, ridiculously good at advancing careers in IT and engineering. Stryker, discover your strengths and follow your passion with us. The Dow Chemical Company, the human element at work. Fanuc America, the leading supplier of robots, CNCs, and factory automation. Consumers Energy, encouraging your inner genius. Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser, your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. And the DTE Energy Foundation.